Cole Memo was a doctrine put into place during the Obama administration that basically said federal entities could not interfere in states that had medical or recreational cannabis laws on the books. Sessions said, nope, that's gone. So starting in 2018, the feds started rolling through Colorado.
Okay.
And February 21st, 2018, I was actually here in Salt Lake. I was working with a personal trainer at that time that lived here, and I would come out once a quarter to train with him, and then we did everything else remote. I'm in a hotel room in Salt Lake. 6 a.m., my phone starts going crazy. It's the alarms on my facility. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm pulling up my cameras, and one by one, my cameras are going down. There's smoke everywhere. And I'm like, yo, is there a fire? Like, what the hell is happening right now? There was one camera that was way up high. And finally, the smoke clears, and I see a dude walking, and on the back of his jacket, DEA. And I'm like, you have got to be fucking kidding me. Because again, like being in the cannabis industry, you hear the stories, right? The federal raids, like you hear about it, but you're like, that'll never happen to me, right? And especially where I wasn't a big player. I was a small medical boutique grower, right? Well, so finally, like everything clears, cameras go off, they kill the power. And so I start calling my business partner, my girlfriend at the time. No one's picking up the phone. And I'm like, yo, like they got everybody. Holy shit. And I'm like waiting for a knock at my hotel room. Doesn't come. And I'm like, fuck this. I got to get back. Jump on a flight. And I'm texting my girlfriend at the time on the flight. And I finally gotten a hold of her. And I was like, go to the house. Like, and again, when you're in this industry, you always have like a D-Day plan, right? And she knew what it was. I knew what it was. And so when I finally got a hold of her, I literally said, I was like, yo, it's D-Day. And she's like, no. I'm like, it's fucking D-Day. Go.
Wow. Let's go.
So she's going to the house to get the dogs, to get the cash, like get whatever we need. And she texts me. She's like, Weston, I just passed 13 cop cars. And the last one is a flatbed. Your truck's on it. They hit the house. Wow. My facility and my house were 7 miles away from each other. There was nothing in my house. No grow, not one plant, nothing. They hit my house. They hit my facility. They hit my storage unit. They hit my mailbox. They're
coming to end you.
They scorched earth me. Right. I wasn't even home. They battering ran my front door, flash banged it, broke out my basement window, flash banged it. I have pictures, and I've put them on my social media of what my house looked like when I walked in. It looked like a tornado had gone. Like, they tore everything apart.
They tased the dog.
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky they didn't shoot.
Yeah, I was going to say, thank God they didn't kill the dogs. Yeah. So what were you going through? What was your mindset in that moment, now that you reflect back?
It was just utter fear.
Yep.
It's like, and shock, because it's like,
you were doing it all right.
What am I going to do now? Mm-hmm. Right? I went from 6 figures a month to 0. Mm-hmm. Overnight, like just dried up. And so then it was like this just like in limbo period, because I went straight to my attorney's office. Another thing, when you're in the cannabis industry, you have a team of attorneys. You just do. I got off the plane in Denver, went straight to his office. And in the meantime, I had gotten a phone call, a number I didn't know, played the voicemail. This is Inspector so-and-so. No. We're letting you know that we served a search warrant on your residence, on your facility, at your mailbox. We'd like to have a conversation with you. Please give us a call at this number. I'm like, fuck, I will. So I go to my attorney's office. He calls him. And the inspector's like, yeah, do you know where Mr. Winter is? And my attorney's like, I do. I'm not at liberty to say that. What is this about? And he's like, well, we'd like to talk to Mr. Winter. And he's like, well, I'm his attorney, so you can talk to me. Mm-hmm. We're not interested in talking to you. My attorney's like, that's not how that works. I'm his legal representative. Well, we have no interest in talking to you or talking to Mr. Winter if you're going to be present. But if he changes his mind, he wants to have a conversation, have him call us. Hangs up the phone.
Straight gangsters.
And I'm just like, what the I look at him, what the fuck is going on? And he's like, I don't know. I don't know. You're messing with the largest mafioso organization 100%. In the world, period. So almost 8 weeks goes by. Nothing. No warrant. No revisit. Just nothing. And I'm like, what? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, part of me is like, fuck it, fire it back up, right? Like, let's just get the plants, get the lights back. Because when they hit my facility, not only did they cut all my plants, they took every piece of grow equipment, every light, controllers, all of it, right? The only thing they didn't mess with, and this is the best part of the story to this day, the only thing they didn't mess with were the snakes.
That's their kryptonite.
Yeah.
We just gotta have pythons.
For real. So anyways, almost 8 weeks goes by. And I'm laying in bed one morning, like 7:30, and all of a sudden my phone rings. And it says Douglas County Sheriff, which is the county that I lived in. Pick up the phone. Hello, is this Mr. Weiner? Yes, it is. This is so-and-so from Douglas County Sheriff, just letting you know that your concealed weapons permit's been revoked because there's a warrant for your arrest. Oh, okay. Click, turn it. There's a warrant. Find out what's going on. Calm down. Okay, it's going to be fine. Like, we'll literally do a walkthrough. You won't spend one night in jail. Just relax. Okay, call me back. 20 minutes later. So that walkthrough isn't going to happen. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, there's 7 felony charges. There's a $500,000 bond. And one of the charges is violation of the Organized Crime Act of Colorado. They're hitting you with RICO.
Man.
Just instantly, like, I just felt it again. It was just like, I'm fucked.
Like freedom.
I'm done, right? So I'm like, what do I do? He's like, don't go anywhere. He's like, stay at your house. Okay. Walked outside, made a cup of coffee. I'm on my back deck. Called my dad. Like, here's what's going on. And I don't know what's going to happen. But this is the scenario. And all of a sudden, from around the corner of my house, here come 4 dudes, full tack, M4s. Stand up, DEA. They're here, I gotta go. Click. So I went in. The bond was $500,000. They considered me an extreme flight risk, even though I'd only been arrested for a DUI in my life. Not one drug charge, weapon charge, anything. 7 felony charges: cultivation, distribution, money laundering, tax evasion, and violation of the Organized Crime Act of Colorado. So I got my bond reduced to $150,000, posted bond, got out after almost 4 days, which it's county. It's not, it's not the end of the world. It's not the worst place in the world, but it was enough to let me know real quick, this is not a place I ever want to spend another day. So I get out, and first thing I do is go meet with my lawyer, and I'm just like, now what? And he's like, you're not the only one in this. They had literally roped 11 people into this one case. And I'm like, what do we do? And he's like, well, we need to get the discovery. We need to do, due diligence. So long story short, I spend the next 14 months in a legal battle with the federal government and the state of Colorado. So I ended up having 3 cases against me, federal and state. So what the feds do, because even in a state where cannabis is legal, right, recreationally or medically, it's still federally illegal. And fed law trumps state law. So the feds come in, rope you up on these charges. The state cooperates because civil asset seizure, the state gets to share in the proceeds. And they looked at me and said, ooh, property, vehicles, cha-ching.
Absolutely.
And so I spent, like I said, 13 and a half months in basically negotiations over what I was going to plead guilty to in order to not go to prison and to keep everything that I had already paid for with tax. Like, I wasn't evading taxes. I paid taxes to the state. I paid federal taxes. Like, I did it all the way it was supposed to be done.
Right.
But because my money was coming from something that's still federally illegal, it makes all of your assets subject to civil asset seizure. And here's something most people don't know about civil asset seizure. The federal government does not need to go to court and prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you were breaking the law on a civil asset seizure case. They only have to have the suggestion. So when they walked into my facility and found 500 plants, boom, there's their suggestion. Done deal. And initially I was like, fuck these motherfuckers. We're taking this all the way. We're going. My lawyer legal team looked at me and he just said, look, you can fight it. If you want to fight it, we'll fight it with you. Understand that it's going to take 2 to 3 years of your life. It's going to cost you probably $250,000 to $300,000 in legal fees. And understand one thing, that if you fight them, there's 7 charges against you. We can probably beat 6, but if they get you on 1, they are going to throw the book at you. You will go to prison. You will lose everything. Is that a risk you're willing to take?
Sounds like a good lawyer.
He saved my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, he saved my life. And I just said, nope, not doing that. Like, okay, what do we got to do? So then it was just plea negotiations and what are you going to give up? Fuck you, nothing. Okay, well, how much are you going to pay? Well, okay, let's go back and forth on this. And so I walked away from that after 13 and a half months. I pled guilty to a 3rd-degree felony, which was cultivation over 30 plants in a state where cannabis is supposed to be legal. I wrote a check for $211,000 to the federal government on top of the $294,000 in cash that they seized from me. But I got everything back. I got my properties, I got my vehicles, I got all my guns back, which ultimately went to my dad because I'm now a convicted felon, can't have them. But that was 2018 into 2019.